That's great.
Oh yeah, the mural. Do you have the link to the mural art in the
I am
chat? Oh,
copying it
okay.
as we speak, so that's why I'm a bit distracted.
Oh. I might have to mute because can you hear that building work going on?
Not so much. I
No,
hear
okay.
faint in the background, so don't
Okay.
worry.
Ah.
Let me see. Are you in the mural?
Yeah. Oh, they've now changed. They give you the chance to enter your name.
No, the thing is, you can, but now you're a visitor and you have like unlimited visitor accounts.
Yeah.
If I work with clients, I have them like a named account, but basically you pay for it. So.
Oh, okay. No, because before you could only, you'd see visiting, for example, now it says visiting elephant, but I could enter my name, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So maybe they've updated it that you can do that now.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, Afan. Hi. Like for people just joining, I'll paste again the mural link. We'll be working from this mural. If you already entered the mural, I see some people there. Please go to the coffee machine, enter some, well, things you want to say at the coffee machine. We'll wait a bit until the participants join.
So I think Mural is coming out with the new feature. You have to enter your name personally if you want to write. I think that's a new feature.
Is that a new feature? So you have to enter your name?
Yeah, it's optional. Either you put your name or you can go with your default, whatever the default visiting Ram or something like that. It's so you can write your name also over there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So then it says your name, and then it says
yeah.
In
I see that now.
It says if you hover on the animals at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's great because it's a pain if you just see elephants and crabs and.
Well, they've been listening to users, so that's good.
So, are you all at the coffee machine? Everybody?
Yep.
Yes.
I'll paste the link to the mural. I'll keep on pasting it. We'll be working in the chat in Zoom. We'll be working from this mural again. Kenny is making us jealous. He's grinding some beans, probably for really good coffee. Actually, one of my projects I'm on now is importing coffee from Sierra Leone. So
oh, wow.
that's I'm all into coffee. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry I'm
Hi,
late.
Erica. Good to see you again.
Good to be here.
I keep on pasting the mural link so people can join that mural we'll be working with. It's a different one than last week, so
Yeah, why not? They were doing that with wines actually. That everybody you could order a tasting set, and then there was like an online workshop that you had to pay for, but then everybody through Zoom would taste the wines and give their opinion on it. So that's funny, yeah. So I guess you could do the same with the coffee.
the tasting, yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I'm really much more at the exporting side. So like, how
Yeah.
can we get good quality coffee from Sierra Leone? That's the project, really to help the economy of Sierra Leone. But so it's not about the marketing side. We partner with existing importers.
Yeah. Okay.
Great. I'll give it maybe 1 more minute to see if other people join. And then we, well, Kenny, I read your chat. You say, do a taster on the Sierra Leone coffee. Actually, maybe in a year or so, because one of the issues they have, the quality is so bad, nobody really wants it. They just use it as filler in blends. They blend it. I'm not doing that to you. All right, for people just joined one last time, here's the link to the mural. As in the previous weeks, we'll be working with Zoom and in the mural. If you want to participate and experience the meetup more interactively, join the mural. But there's no need to. You can also just watch my screen as I'll share it, and you'll see what I do. It also works just fine. So I'll now start sharing my screen. And then you can indeed see what I do. There we go. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. We're at the coffee machine. Everybody in the mural, put some coffee machine talk there. Like, hey, there was more. There were some images of coffee machines and Kenny was grinding beans. Wow. It's just like a watering hole, people to gather. But quickly, let's move on. I want to go to the second step, where I want you to put in what you want to get out of today's session, your wish for today. If you're new to Mural, you can either use the outline, which is in the top menu. You can pop it up. Here it is. Or you can click on my avatar photo and then you see what I see. For now, I'll summon everybody to go here. Yeah, great. Oh, I love that I now see your names. That's just great. Okay, and the research, yeah. Ooh. Okay. Cool. Okay, if there's anything else, these are some nice wishes, and I think we'll cover most of them. Thanks for putting it in. There's one: to participate, relax a little, learn a bit. Great. I'm sure you'll learn a bit, and I hope it's relaxing. Yeah, thank you. Looking at the clock, we have time with one of your requests, like on the icebreakers last time. So I put in like an extra, if we had time for an icebreaker. This is one of the icebreakers I sometimes do with a team. So I think it's nice to practice it with. And there are two ways to do it. Either you can use the icons. If you can see what I see. Yeah, I have the some of the icons here that you can use in your selfie. That's here. So there's some silly hats. It works really well. And how I go about it, you pick one of these areas, which says name, obviously. You change the name to your name. Oh, yeah, I got them locked, and then you cannot do that. I'll unlock them quickly. Oh, I think you can unlock it yourself, actually. Well, I'll unlock it for you. And then you can change the name. And I'll give you a couple of minutes to, well, create your selfie. The top row is unlocked, so go for it. And I think I'll now go for the middle row as well. Change the name, create the selfie. Good. I give you like 2 minutes for it. This is great. Cool. If you're not done yet, round it up in the next 20 seconds or so. I feel bad to cut it off, but then we can move forward. All right. All right. I want to invite you to take a look at what your colleague design sprinters think of themselves, and I'm really happy with what I see. Like Yolanda, this is so creative. This is one of the best selfies I ever see. I'm looking at it now. You can follow me. This is just great. That's well done. Love it. And then we have session. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Also, well, nicely done. You make good use of icons. And we have Afan likes big lattes or milkshakes. Cool. And I love the ball face of someone named Kay. I really like this icebreaker, but it's a little bit personal. It shows how people think of themselves. For instance, Sachin and Afan have the same hairdo. That's very interesting. But also, you practice a little bit by creating a mural. So that's really good things going. And normally I take, of course, a little bit more time and I go over all the drawings, but I hope at least you get a feel of it. And I love it. Also Anna here, the long hair, that's all great. Cool. Okay. That was fun. Let's continue to our recap. It's number 3 in the outline. And I'm also looking at it, so you can follow me or just look at my screen, whatever works for you. Remember, we were in the fishy business, and we wanted to have like the new way for people to enjoy the traditional Dutch seafood. And in 2 years' time, we want to have a good vegetarian fish replacements. There were some questions like, convince people to try? Can we convince people of the health benefits, or are people willing to pay a premium for vegetarian fish? All, well, important questions. And we went full into solution mode. And our winning solution was something like to owning the retail channel, where we would go all in on the supermarket with put some brand activation outside, have some visual clues in the freezer aisle with floor stickers, and have coupons to entice people to buy our fake fish. And then we drafted this testing flow, where we would say there's some trigger in front of the supermarket, there's a testing table, there would be some fake fish and real fish next to each other. Of course, we ask people to try it, and we give everybody a coupon. I made a storyboard for it, and I did it in Mural, and that's really, they have this new functionality where you can search for images and just plot them in. It's not so much different than Googling for images, but still it works nicely. So I kind of made the storyboard with images all from Mural. First is a trigger in front of the supermarket where we have this, our fake fish sign in front of the Albert Heijn, the biggest Dutch supermarket. Of course, inside there's the fake fish testing stand, all happy. And there's some floor stickers. And this turned out to be more of a mood board, really. And what you could do well is, just create some kind of a design brief. Like, oh, well, fish are friendly. We should have fun with them, not eat them, something like that. All works really well for your storyboard. And then here we have a coupon. This is very simple. Normally you would especially digital prototypes, you could have up to, I don't know, 20 steps here. This is simple, but serves the purpose of explaining it all. The purpose of the storyboard is to have like a blueprint of what you create on prototype day, because that's really what this is about. You want to make all the decisions. So on the prototype day, you can correct it out, and it's really like in the design sprint, you have one full day of creating a prototype, and like in traditional approaches, you would maybe take a week or something to create a prototype, which is already fast. But in the fact of limiting yourself to one day, you get really fast, and you accomplish a lot, because it's just your mindset. We have to create something to get insights, and not something that maybe looks good. Something should be good enough to get insights. The only way you can get something good enough for insights is if you prepare really well, hence the storyboarding. So say you have this storyboard. This is like a very good start of your prototyping day. Because the prototyping day is a little bit different than the other days. It's the first day. It's only like the in a classic sprint. It's only the fourth day, but it's the first day you start creating, which is a counterintuitive, but it's all in the preparation where it's at. As you know, I work from the Jake Knapp and Steph Cruchon template. It works really well. But I trimmed this down a bit. They have the prototype section, and they have just a large white space, and they say, put here whatever you need to write your text and ever. But I kind of used up the space here to explain a little bit more in depth how I do it. So let's take a look at the text tag we use for our prototyping. It's the number 4 in the outline, and it's different than the other days. The other days in remote sprints, you're mostly in Mural and Zoom. Now you go a bit out of the Mural, and you change to and also out of the Zoom, because it's really a working day. So what we mostly do, we have Slack. We keep that. It's like now becoming the main channel, and it's to to chat, organize requests and all. We use Dropbox for easy sharing of larger files, maybe images or brand libraries or all that. But the most important tool for the prototyping is Figma, and it's a design tool, much like maybe it's like a simple version of Photoshop if you're not into it. But the one reason why this works so well in remote sprints is that you can design collectively. You can together you can work at the same time on the same design as you can work on the same slide in Google Slides, for instance. And that works so well, and that saves so much time that even one of the bits that works faster in a remote sprint is this, because you use Figma as opposed to sitting in the room and working with Sketch or something. So even now in online face-to-face sprints, I use Figma because it's just so much faster. Is there anything you use that works really well for you? I'm curious to learn.
I generally do Sketch.
Sorry?
Sketch. Not Figma, but Sketch. Individually, we can share our screen and use the Sketch.
Well, Sketch works well, but how do you combine it all then?
Yeah, so it's more on whatever we put, because that's the software license software we have. So yeah, we generally share whatever the screen will create and put it on the Dropbox, and people use it from there. we do use the guidelines.
Sorry, what was that?
We generally use the guidelines. We have the predefined guidelines from where we fixed on the
Okay.
screens, and everybody will collaborate on individual screens, and then we'll merge it together.
Yeah. Okay. Then yeah, if you work like really structural, that would work. So that's yeah. Okay. And Sketch of course works fine. So I just tend to go for Figma because well for me it saves a lot of time.
Yeah, that's true.
So but yeah it all works, and we'll get to it because there's a special role if you use things like Sketch or Keynote, even like you can create a prototype in slides as well. If you go to number 5 in the outline, this is typically how our prototype creating day looks. It's a bit different because you're not so much into brainstorming, it's just getting work, and the day is really geared towards be as productive as possible. And I found this really works for us. We start a little bit earlier than the really creative days. We start at 9 and then we divide the work. We regroup. We get like everything really crisp and clear, and then we start working. And then not so much after we do a stand-up. And really the purpose of the stand-ups is to see if people are blocked or if they are like painting themselves in the corner. Maybe like for once I worked with a client and they wanted to use their own tooling, Adobe XD, and I was under the impression that it was like they were really up to speed and they worked with it all the time, but it was the first time they used it. So I found out in the first stand-up, like, oh no, they still have to learn it all. So we are like really getting behind. And then it's good to have like an early stand-up so you can catch the like real problems that jeopardize the day, and then you sort it out, and then you have still time to to make your prototype and get it all out there. Basically, this works. Very simple schedule and as much time as possible for the work. Also, if you have a stand-up, make it like really short, just to see is everybody still is everybody doing something, or are people having problems? Maybe they need some help. And then you have just work where you leave the team to work. There's lunch. After the lunch is stand-up, then you have a big block of work. And then somewhere around 4 o'clock, and that's really important, there should we put this moment where we say, okay, now is a freeze, no new screens. And from now on, we just finish what we have. We don't add stuff, we don't change stuff. It's just finishing up. Otherwise, you want to continue, and then you'll end up until 10 in the evening, still creating this really shiny prototype. And it doesn't really matter. Then it's at this point, it should just be, this is it. We time box for 1 day prototype, and this is it. And then what we have should be good enough to test with. And also, because we're so strict on this prototype, 1 day prototype, prioritize the screens or prioritize the steps in your user testing, so that at least if stuff falls off, at least you have the most important bits for your user test secured.
So how many people do you normally have on your prototyping team?
Depends. What I usually do in sprints, I bring one like really good designer, and I like really senior, because I found that the like really senior designers, they work like twice as fast or maybe 3 times as fast as juniors. And then I work with people from the client, and they can also chip in, but it depends then on the client team who works. we can, well, Yolanda, we can move over to the pick your
okay.
role.
Yeah.
That explains it a bit. What there's for this day to to be ultra productive, it should be super clear who does what. So when I start the day, these are usually the roles we have in this this really productive prototype creating day, where you say we have a couple of makers. We have somebody who is a collector. He's just like running errands. Oh, can you get a stock photo of a fish? Can you get a stock photo of a freezer aisle in the supermarket? And then somebody who writes, who's really good at copywriting. Don't underestimate this. It can really make or break the user test to have like understandable copy. And then there are people who are makers, depending on your prototype, usually designers, UX designers, maybe UI designers, maybe people are really good at well, retail marketing here. And then you see this role in the middle, the green one, the stitcher, especially if you use more like the classical design programs like Sketch, where everybody's working in their own file. You should have somebody who's like safeguarding that everything comes together, that everything fits together, so that all screens have the similar look and feel, and that the flow is smooth. That's a really important role. That's also why it's here in the middle. And then everybody should create something, send it to the stitcher, and then stitch it. I find that using Figma, this stitcher role kind of disappears, because it's just, you have to put some attention to it, but it's not somebody full-time doing this. And that's your gain using collaborative tools like Figma. You also see the interviewer, and that's somebody who this day who will do the interview, who is full on creating the interview script, setting up the tag environment, and making sure that all appointments are there. Everybody is set to a slot and so on, so that you're all prepared for the next day, the customer interviews.
So at what moment, sorry, at what moment do you start recruiting testers?
Usually I do it with running ads on social media, Facebook usually, or Instagram then. But usually I start at depends if it's 4-day or 5-day sprint, but the day before the prototyping. So for me, it's usually Tuesday, because then by then you'll have like a good understanding of your target users, and you can just target them on Facebook. And then because you're not really sure yet, maybe at that point. So what I then do is, I put an ad out like, do you want to put in a user research? And then they go to a type form, a Google form, where they kind of a screener form where they fill out their details. And I ask some questions like, how often do you eat fish? Are you vegetarian? Are you maybe do you care for global warming? I don't know. All questions that might help you filter out your target audience later, and then you kind of have this pool of possible users you want to interview, and you just weed them out here on this prototyping day, and you start to to organize and fill the slots, so you have enough. Does this answer your question?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
usually what I do here is, let's say, I ask people like put your name on one of the roles, and then it also sorts out kind of people who maybe somebody wants to write, maybe somebody wants to make, and then you can discuss what's your role. Usually it's very like the specialists in your sprint. It's clear what they will do. Like if you have a copywriter, obviously you put them on the writing bit. But if you have somebody maybe doing UX, possibly it's a maker, but also possibly you put them to interview. So this is a great way to discuss with your team who does what, and to do it fast as well. Okay, is there anything you want to know on the prototype day? It's just like maybe it depends really on what you're making, but it's just a day of doing. If you have some questions, you can also put them in the question box and we can discuss them later. All right. Or just now, it's all fine. We have time for it.
Yeah, so if it's for example, for this fish, so you've shown the images now, and so we know more or less what we need to make if we were to be making the prototype. Then I guess then it would be actually physically put into a supermarket, right?
Yeah, that would be the best test. So if you can arrange it, yeah, that's yeah.
And if not, what would you how would you do it? Would it be at a certain location? I mean, I know now it's difficult with this COVID. So how would you do it? How would you go about doing something like that remotely?
Usually when I do food products, because it's a little bit different than digital products, because digital products you have like, do you understand? It's much more in depth. People really need to, sit and take in everything they see. But with food is much more primitive reaction, like I like it or not, and then you can maybe peel it off a bit. So with food, I usually go for like more faster test and have it broader, so that just not go with just the 5 qualitative interviews, but I also go on the streets and maybe show people different pack shots of the food. Like we did it for some beer in Italy. We just created 6 bottles. Like, which one do you like best, and which one would you buy? And it's all. You could still do that now with COVID. It's, with your 1.5 meter distance. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's continue through to the real deal. I go to number 7 in the outline, the customer interviews. This is a image from the template from Steph Cruchon, like the standard template, and this is like typical setup. You have your, well, I think most of you create prototypes. So you have your prototype here, and it's like as a clickable demo. You have it on screen, and you have people normally in the room, and you hand them if it's an app, you hand them a phone with a clickable demo. That's the best. You have to, of course, simulate that somehow, and it works really well just to have a clickable demo on a computer screen with like a phone bezel around it, and let them share their screen. Meanwhile, while you talk to them, that works almost as good. It's the only thing is, of course, as we are now not in a room but talking to a screen, you kind of miss the very first raw emotional reaction. So that's why it's essential that people share their cameras, and you really should, watch their facial expressions, and or if people are a bit hesitant, put a little bit more attention to what's going on. So, and that's not so easy doing remote, but I have to say it does work. It does work. Let me see if I. Oh yeah, first day. I sometimes people who are like, well, who never did some user testing before, they want to do some tests, or maybe they have to because you have like a double interview. I always kind of educate people in the sprint team by showing them 2 short movies, and it are these 2. It's the mom test, which is like, well, this is like very step-by-step explanation what you should not ask. And it's like somebody who has a great business idea, and she goes to her mom and says, "Mom, I have this great business idea. What do you think of it?" And of course, the mother, kind as she is, she said, "Oh yeah, honey, it's great. Oh yeah." But she ends up asking all the wrong questions, and she gets very, well, wrong conclusions. And they go into it all in 3 minutes. So it's really worth your time. And if you prime your team with this, they will instantly pick it up. And I always then show them the sprint. In the book, they call it the 5-act interview, and they have the stages going to the interview. It's really centered around putting your users at ease, and give them a lot of space to, really express their feelings, and create a lot of, safety, so people they feel they can share everything. So but also this little YouTube video, well, it's from Jake Knapp, but it's just 5 minutes, and it's well spent because it will really change the way how inexperienced people will conduct the interview. So these 2 are really winners for me. Give them a go. And then you have your user testing. And how I do that is as follows. The tech setup is here. And this is usually what I use to record the user testing. You see one of my screenshots of a real test I did here. I like to use Whereby, not Zoom, and it's the simple fact it's the easiest video tool out there. Well, I think now it changed a bit because half of the world is using Zoom, but you have to if you use Zoom, you have to install a plugin, grant access here and there. That's a big hurdle, especially if you target like maybe some older people or people who are not so savvy. And whereby you just point people to a browser and they're in. It's no install, just going to the browser to a URL, click allow, microphone and camera, and you're done. And then as you can see here, this is like really a screenshot from one of the sprints I did. It looks like a phone, definitely is just a browser window, but this works good enough to test mobile apps or websites. One of the advantages of doing Zoom, just as we do now, you can stream it like to YouTube, so you have the team watching in without your interviewee seeing or hearing the team, because it's really distracting if you are there, doing this user test and you're looking to I don't know, 8 people. That's really intimidating. So don't ever do that. Just make it like a one-on-one session and either record it so the team takes notes or can review it afterwards, or live stream it. There were several solutions. Well, Zoom works good because you can live stream it. Jitsi can do the same, by the way. But this is much closer to the, let's say, the safe place that you want to create so people can really express themselves. If you're looking to 8 people, that's not the safe place you want. Okay, then it's like this really, really important bit, because that's what you all worked up to. It's like the user test, and you should get all the insights you can possibly get from users. You should, get them out. So there's a big part in asking the right questions, but there's also like a huge part in taking notes and capturing all the insights. And there's two bits to it. First, you don't want to lose anything, but secondly, you also want to draw the right conclusions. And there's so much data that it's pretty hard to cut through all the insights and have clear conclusions. And the format in the sprint book really helps you with it. And I'll show you how we do it. If you first would go to the board, that's what I'm looking now. So this is like very much the classical way how you capture your insights. You put a list of the questions you identified in your sprint, like did people notice the fake fish sign in front of the supermarket? And for every customer you interview, you have people put in their findings here on sticky notes. And as Jake Knapp puts in his book, you have colors like green stickies for positive findings, and you have like red stickies for negative findings. And you can really, really use Mural for it, and it works, like I say, almost the same. And in this example, you'll see it's very clear. Like you have your top left box. Yeah, that's positive. You would say, so this equals like a yes. And then you have the second question, can we convince people to pay a premium? Customer 1, there's a lot of red. So probably it would be no for customer 1. And it would maybe be like a no or a maybe for customer 2. But things get fuzzy. And I also find that some people put in a lot of findings here, and some people maybe just one or none. So it's not really balanced. So in a room, you can kind of mitigate that. You can navigate around it. But I find online, it gets a little bit more subjective, your findings. So what I think is a better way is the design sprint scorecard. This thing is here, and it's just your matrix as you see here, but it's put in a Google sheet, and then it's done in such a way that it automatically calculates, let's say your winner, your winner's questions. And what I like to do with you is to go over it so you can see how it works. I think this nice picture, there is a link, so maybe you can click on it, or otherwise I put a link next to this as well. Yeah, the snake found it. if you click on it, you end up in a Google Sheets. Yeah, if you double, yeah, that should work. If you double click, I see some I see some people here entering. This is great. This template is not invented by me by any way. It's from Voltage Control, one of like the early design sprint agencies. And they even use this when they're like, it's like face-to-face design sprint, everybody in the room, because it automates a lot of the time you otherwise spend in drawing conclusions. It's very binary. You say yes, no. So it saves a lot of time and makes for very objective and clear results. So let's go over it. Everybody who wants to participate should be now in the Google spreadsheet, the Google Sheet. And the way it works, and by the way, if you're not online, can you see the Google Sheet on the screen, which I'm sharing? That's great. The way it works, it's all explained here, but it's a bit technical, so I'll help you through it. What you do is you make a list of the questions you want to have answered in your sprint. Can we convince people to try our fake fish? Can we convince people of the health benefits? Are people willing to pay premium for vegetarian fish? Usually I ask questions like, do people understand our concept? What do you like about this experience? What do you not like? And like if you had like a magic wand, or if you had one wish, what would you change to this product? And or is this product, is fake fish better than what you are currently using? All, you know, questions to dig a bit deeper. Now, how this works, all people listening in to the interview should take one sheet. And it says here, for instance, it says Sprinter 1, and I'll change this this to my name. And so everybody here now, take one sheet and put your name there. And we, you know, kind of simulate we're in a sprint. Great, I see Yolanda. Great. I can't see your names. I see a bat, a lorry, a snake. But yeah, great, 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 everybody. Now, how this works is you go into your own sheet, like Yolanda would open the sheet that's called Yolanda, and Afran on the sheet that's called Afran, and so on. And then we have the interview schedule that I put in the inputs, right? There's this interview schedule. We send out invitations to Captain Haddock, Captain Iglo, Ernest Hemingway. Well, that's a pity. We have the 1 o'clock interview was cancelled. So luckily, we always plan for backup users. So we called and we hope to fill that in. And at 2 p.m. we have Mohamed Ben Boer. Well, he's Dutch, but writes about fishing a lot. Now, let's say we're in the it's the 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. interview. Captain Iglo will join the Zoom call. We'll ask him questions like, well, Captain Iglo, we have this product. Do you care to try it? And then depending on the answers, of course, the interviews are really fuzzy, but at least you should be able to distill answers like this. Well, and then put in for yourself in your sheet, do you think Captain Iglo was willing to try it? Yes, you put in yes or no, or a maybe. Can we convince, you listen into the interview, do you think we convinced Captain Iglo, that there's a health benefit in our fake fish product. And I think not, because he's of course all in for his own brand fish fingers. And so all the questions you listen in, all the questions that you hear, you will either say yes, no, or maybe. So I invite you to put it in your own sheet. Now, put what you want, yes, no, maybe, to all of the questions that are listed here. So I'll quickly peek at your sheet if you are doing that. So now put in, we can see how this ends up in the result page in your own sheet. Put in yes, no, or maybe at the Captain Iglo column, so we can see how it all adds up. And it doesn't matter what you put in, it's all good. Yeah, I see. Great, great. Yeah, okay. Now, this is one thing, but what works really well is to have like nice and powerful, juicy quotes from people using your product. That's also, by the way, the reason you should never have your room that people listen in close to the real interview room, because sometimes I had teams shouting out like, "No, how can you not see that? Oh, he is stupid." Not what you want. Luckily, well, if we're on Zoom, that won't help. But you want to capture these quotes, these emotions, these quotes, or deep insights. Sometimes your user testers say, "Oh, incredible! Is it this simple? Well, that's magical." Well, of course, you want to timestamp it, and you say and you can also then cut out the quote from the recording if you have it. So I now invite you to, make up some really nice quotes or insight that you get from, well, Captain Haddock. It's our Captain Haddock interview. Oh no, it's Captain Iglo. There are too many captains on this boat. You can timestamp it. There's this shortcut for timestamp. It's there, but you can also just manually put it in. It's all good, but it says some command option shift semicolon. Well, and the insight is for instance, our user tester, Captain Iglo, says, "Oh, I'd rather eat fish fingers for breakfast than trying vegetarian fish." Well, you want to capture that. This is how I would then do it. If you all, would think of a nice, of course, very fake quote, we can also see how that is processed in this sheet. Yeah, that's looking good. Very, very cool. Okay.
Do you have a place where you can see all the inside? I saw them flashing by, but where are they surprised?
Sorry, Paulus, what was that?
Well, I saw some insights flashing by, but where can I see the total, all the?
Yeah, we'll get there. If you, I think everybody was done. If you go to the very far right sheet, to the, it's called graph. And here, I just don't like the colors, but here you see like a mashup of everything you put in. You say, can we convince people to try it? And it's half of it's a yes, and half of it is maybe. I had a version where I edited the colors in red, yellow, green, just like the stickies in the real sprint. That makes it's a little bit easier to read, but you can easily change that. I won't do that now. You see, you kind of have like a very binary yes or no answer to your question, because imagine now we are sitting with 7 people, I think, let's say, scoring the user interview, and but it's just one user. In a normal sprint, you have at least 5 users you interview, so you should balance this this score with 7 people listening in over 5 users, so you have 35 opinions. Is it a yes or no or a maybe? It's very, very hard to get it from a whiteboard. And this is like an easy, let's say logical way to sum it all up, and it saves you tons of time. So I hope you get a little bit of hang of it. Usually people find this very hard. You can take a look later on how it all works, fill it all in. Download it. I'll also post a link to the let's say original voltage control template. But have a look afterwards. I hope you get a little bit of hang of it and give it a go, because it's a real time saver. Do you have some questions here about this sheet?
I think it's quite easy to understand, and I like the overview as well. So.
Did you use it before?
No.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
For me, it's also very nice to understand the concept and consolidate the information in a visual way. And at the same time, multiple participants can do the put their answers at the same time, and it's very handy, very, very handy. It's really nice.
Unfortunately, I have to leave because I have to go to another meeting. But thanks very much. And I'll look at the mural when I get back, so of the end results.
That's great. Well, we're mostly done. So great having you. Thanks.
Thanks.
Okay. Let's go back to the mural, because we're really, I think we're done in the scorecard.
I have one question. So while taking the interview, do we put all our answer on the spreadsheet or here in the mural? how generally
you have a pick what you think works best for you, but pick one.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, that's why I asked.
And I like the spreadsheet because it's less fuzzy. So that would be my pick. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, if you it's the last bit. A design sprint is of course to really drive down to crisp conclusions on your product idea. Just ending with your user test it doesn't quite cut it. And I always make a kind of an extensive report where I also put some clear recommendations. But what works really well is if you have everybody in the team fill out something like this, where you say, what do you think about our main questions in the sprint? What we identified, these are the big blockers for success for our product. What do you think? Did we crack the nut? Yes or no? So you kind of source the group there as well. It's really nice. You have everybody fill this template in, and then you can take it from there. And then this is like really it makes your life creating the report a lot easier. And then everything is still fresh. It should take maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes or so from everybody. And it's a nice, well, closing up your sprint like this. So I have everybody fill in something like this. And then that's the sprint. Then of course you have a drink and you celebrate. And there's this very cool new function in Mural. Is this? Do you see it? How cool is that? I really like it. It's something small and silly, but it's really kind of makes the real takes the mood you normally have when you're in a room. So yeah, we did it. It takes it a bit online. So yeah, I like it. That was it on the sprint. I'd like to now go on to ask if you have some questions. It's really everything I had to share on the prototyping and user testing. I'm all open for connection on LinkedIn, so that's great. But if you have some questions now, let me know. You can put it in here in the question box or just shout out on Zoom. It's all good. But I also want to let you know if you need some help running your own sprints, let me know. You can always ping me or ask some advice. That's all fine. My email address is in here, or reach me on LinkedIn or whatever you want. So I'm all open and try to help you, or maybe we can work together. I'd love that as well. For now, do you have any questions?
Your LinkedIn connection is have lock.
Oh, yeah, I was a bit.
Thank you. No issues. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, I think it works now. Great. All right. I guess there are no questions, but then I'd like to have one final round of feedback from you. And I want you to answer the question here on the mural. How did this meetup help you with doing remote sprints? I really like to know it. Also helps me to shape sessions like these. Great. Cool. I'd love this. Yeah. Thanks. Well, this is great. Thanks for the feedback. All kind words. I think you also get an invitation of the meetup itself to give feedback on the meetup. So also there, I'd love you to be frank and put in what you want, because I just want to make better meetups every time. So don't hold back, and thanks a lot. I really enjoyed doing this series. Maybe I'll do some more, and maybe next time we can do them face to face, like how the meetup started. That was those were nice times. If anything pops up, drop me a line. You know how to find me. But for now, I'd like to celebrate that we reached the end of our meetup series, and it's all good. I'll stop my share. Great. Guys, I think I'll hang around a bit, maybe if you want to have some chat, but for now,
Thank you, Arth, very much. Thank you for overall process you have provided us.
thanks.
So, Arth, tell me one thing. Do you generally do for digital products or maybe physical experience also? Or
Usually,
anything
most of them are
physical?
digital, but I also do, it's a bit of a quirk, but I do food products as well. So, and I have a master's in food technology. So
Wow.
yeah, so, but also informatics. So, and I all went digital, but then when I started doing design sprints, I took them back to the, let's say, food world again. So
Yeah, that's good. You have the base knowledge of food industry, which is a great
yeah,
asset for the design sprint. Yeah. So yeah, I am a qualified as a UX designer from NID. If you heard about National Institute of Design in India. So I am from last 10 years. I am doing the practices in UX, majorly in UX and workshop, understanding the user, putting that thing into the information architecture, and doing the wireframing and testing with the people. is my core area.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So, but you say you were on Agile, right?
Kind of agile, but yeah, it's not as much. Not
Okay.
in
Cool.
not as much.
Will you use this like in your day-to-day work? That's
Design sprint.
yeah.
So recently I came to know about the design sprint in this April, and from that I am trying to put this thing into my system. System means in our company as a system, holistic system, because we are running as a, so my company is a service company, right? Service IT company, and we have multiple projects parallelly running. We generally don't care about the designing, but yes, client asks for the designing, and in general when we say designing, so people understand is more about the graphics. So yeah, now people are understanding more about the UX thing, and we are putting into the system so that people will understand why this is important, I think. But design sprint will give us a edge where we can show to multiple stakeholders that why is this important. Earlier it's under the one people or two people who is co-doing the UX. Now with the help of the workshop and design sprint, we can do a better collaboration with the team, and then people will understand the core depth of the process and design sprint, and also with the UX. That's
Yeah.
what I am assuming right now.
The yeah, the design sprints are good for one thing. Really quickly test ideas, like are they viable? Is there something we should pursue? But also, if something, if you tested something in your sprint, positive or negative for that matter, you have your buy-in of your team as well, because everybody experienced the fact that it worked or did not work. So
Yeah.
there's no questioning or politics after the sprint, because everybody was in there, everybody was an accomplice, you know. So well, and that's the big time gain, really. It's you cut out all the crap from talks, because everybody was looking at the facts. So
And by
yeah, give it a
psychologically,
go, and let me know how it all worked for you.
yeah. I have one more question. In general, design sprint is for 1 week only, right? In general, 5 days, right? And in general, you whenever you worked on the design sprint, you generally do one feature, or it's the whole product in general when you are doing for the design sprint. So that's
Well,
the
usually the whole product.
usually the whole product in a 1 week.
Yeah. And but it depends a bit on what your question is. Like, okay, but yeah, one thing: the best products are not a stack of features. The best products have like one clear goal. They have one purpose and do it really well. And if you're in the business of creating and stacking all those features, you'll never be. It's never a killer solution. So what you test with your design, it depends a bit. You can either do a sprint, and I did that like on what should be the purpose of our product, and you kind of test different ways, or you say, well, we're big in this market. We want to go into this other market. How should this feature look like? We want to, add this feature to maybe. We want to add a subscription model, or we want to, I don't know. And you can, what you typically, Agile, what you typically call a feature in Jira or in Agile, that's something you can very well test with Design Sprint, or maybe
So
just
that
Epic as well. You could do that, but usually
Epic as a concept or as a full detailed feature. So Epic as a concept. So when I say concept, because Epic have multiple features, and multiple features have five screens per feature, 5 screens in a feature, and we have 4 features. Then we have 20 screens, right? Developing the 20 screen with the concept, with the iteration, and doing the testing doesn't make sense in a 1 week, right? So it's
no,
depend.
it does, and usually
does.
let me think of something. it was an app, but then we had like 20 screen prototype, and we went the app. It was a new app, and it had 5 sections. So we had kind of about 4 to 5 pages for each section, and we would gauge how does the target audience, how do they like every feature. So we went through all the features, and we said, do we really need this feature? Which features? We have a set of 5 features, and we thought like, oh, this makes a complete product. Then we found out only 3 of those are really valued by the customer. So you get rid of 2. It saves a lot of money, a lot of time, and you have a better product.
And this sprint you have done in a week time, or in a 5-day process.
But
how many people?
Well, it's easy to come up with ideas, but your limitation is how much can you produce on prototyping day.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
that's true.
Very senior designers, you can easily crack out, I don't know, 20 screen, 30 screen prototype. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the thinking and flow? Parallelly, you do that. So when we have, I'm just very curious to know, when we have 3 feature, so parallelly we have to think about those feature, how it works in the flow, what's are the solutions, can we statement for that, and all those things, right? Concept as a concept. So when you are generating, you holistically you design the concept, or individually for the feature wise concept you will design it. How generally you do that in that form?
I'm not sure if I understand what what concepts do you?
So if you go to the sprint board,
Yeah.
so we came out for the fish market, we came out the concept for online retail store and all those things, right? This is for the kind of selling of fish, right?
Yeah.
Selling a fish, right? Then can be a buying flow. Then it's more about the returning journey, right? There can be multiple flow, right?
Yeah.
Right. So these are the features for me. These are the feature. One is discovery, another is buying, another is returning, another fourth one is probably setting my account. These are the 4 feature in my app, right? So in general, can you do all these 4 feature in a sprint, or do you split them design sprint wise, or how do you do that?
I understand your question. The first bit of a design, I don't know if you were like in the first session 2 weeks ago.
I'm in the second session now. So
yeah, your design sprint really starts with picking. If you would care to, you know what? I'll share my screen again so you can easily see what I'm seeing. The first day of a design sprint, you kind of go over like, what is all the information I have? What is my long-term goal? Because you can chase, there are like thousands directions you can take, 1,000 things to improve, but which one do you go after? Then we first say, well, in 2 years' time, we want to have the vegetarian fish. It was a complete surprise to me, but everybody in the meetup picked this one. That's great. Right. Then we have some obstacles, and then this is kind of you use this map to pick an area where you want to improve it.
Okay.
And usually you kind of have it's a very rough user journey. So you have like your customer that discovers I buy some fish, he learns more about the fish, and then he uses it. And the discover, learn, use works really well with any product, especially digital as well. So you discover, you find an ad on Facebook, you learn, you read the landing page, you use, you start your subscription, something like that. And then you kind of pick on which step in this larger customer journey do we want to improve. Maybe we go all in on the discover phase, like how can we best reach our customer, and then you're all on that. Or how can we best educate the customer.
Hmm.
And then you kind of limit yourself to something that is doable in this week, because you can't, if you really want to go all out with your new app and it's really elaborate, you don't want to, you can't do it all. You'll stretch it out too thin. So but what you can do is first, first we do a sprint on what should be the core value, the core features of this app, and then you go, then you probably run into the issue, how can we educate our users that this is the best thing for them? And then you have a sprint a little bit more on the front end, like on this learn phase.
Right. So, okay, fine. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, pick a target, and so you get a feel for it. It's so either, but you can do a lot really. But you should, it takes some experience to kind of see what you can chew off in one sprint.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. So I have done many UX workshop, but digitally design sprint. Recently, I came to know I'm experimenting. So recently, we also created a persona. So how we can create the persona digitally with some gathering the information with the stakeholders.
The personas are great, but the author of Design Sprint, Jake Knapp, he says don't do personas because they're too general and it just doesn't work. You don't have your 38-year-old house mother that's walking the dog and then using your app. It's just, it's nice to get into a mood, but it just doesn't work like that. So rather, have kind of a broad target group, more, and I'd like to have them like more functional. For instance, if you have an app for parking your car, probably you would first target your users that commute or that use their car to commute to work, something like that.
Yeah.
And there you go, easy as that. And you have a million personas in there, but you find out in user testing. So don't care. There's no place for personas in the design sprint, but I know some people add it and it works for them. So if it works for you, change it. I'm all for adapting this method to something that works for you.
I think it's work. So I tried this thing with me putting the persona and customer journey for a particular row. If you have some time, let me know. I will share you my experience on that and how I fitted it into the system. Let me know. Send me the invite whenever you feel comfortable. Let's understand the process. So I just tried, and because whatever my experiences last from 10 years for the UX thing, I tried to put it, because end of the day we have to come out with the wireframe in a concrete way, right? Whether it's design sprint or whether it's come out with the UX process. So that's my objective is, right? And whatever you are comfortable with. I am comfortable doing the persona because I have done many projects with the startups, with the Indian very own startups, where I have tried it the persona strategy which worked for me, and people are convinced with that persona also. So persona is also a convincing power for the stakeholder. Let them understand. So those who don't know about their current people understand about their users, but if concretely we have to target and whom to target from the persona, from the UX perspective, that is what I think the persona is helpful over there, and the journey. Otherwise we'll end up making multiple journeys, multiple flows and all those things. That's how we target. So that's my way of thinking.
Yeah, and well, if it works for you and your stakeholders are used to working this way, the best way to adapt this like design sprint is to have to say, oh, we're doing what we did before, but just a little bit smarter or something, or just a little bit more effective. So we use your personas, you take it from there, and you just keep on adapting and reflecting what works. And
Yeah, makes sense.
It depends on the problem you're having and how much different target groups you have. I did a course on design sprint today, and we picked the example was improving the rate of people using public transport, and then you could have audience as the real auto driver and the already convinced, more or less convinced public driver. So that you probably have to go to them on a very different way and offer them different options. So to put them in one big bag could make very fuzzy. And so I think that in that area it was useful to have different personas and then to choose.
But then I don't call them personas, like with your, but then I target demographic or target group or some target customer, something like you have your because as a target group is like people always traveling or commuting by car. That's a one target group. But then inside there you have like, you could have like different personas, like the 38-year-old house dad who is always in a hurry and brings his kids to school and then rushes off to work by car. You have the soccer mom who is always with a complete soccer team and a dog in the trunk of a car. It's like that's, personas is like making this archetype user. And often, well, I don't really have an opinion, but I know Jake Knapp, like he says, often they don't exist at all. They're fake. And if it works for you to get your message across, use it. Otherwise, stay clear. But targeting your audience is something you should really do. Definitely, yeah.
Yes.
And with your example, like of course you approach frequent public transport users, you approach them different than vivid car users. Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say that personas are the target audiences that are too broad a category to say that or to make a concrete persona. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
If there's anything else, drop me a line and let's connect as well, Sachin. All great, and well, let me know how your design sprint adventures.
Yeah, if you want to connect for the persona thing, let me know. So just ping me on the LinkedIn and let's connect on LinkedIn, and then I will show you my process. And if that works, because you are expert in the design sprint, I just want to just get a feedback from you. This will work for you or not. That's I am experimenting with the field. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, yeah, thanks for joining. I enjoyed it, and cool. I'll catch you maybe some other meetup.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, man. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Paul.
All right. Thanks. And is there some place where the slides of the presentations are, or
there's the recording is on YouTube. I'll post a link, and you can use the mural. Yeah, but there's no slides. But of course, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.